Welcome to the dark side of Apple Watch. Well, with all of this lawsuit stuff going on with the Apple stuff, Apple Watch thingy, whatever, I thought I would give my opinion for what it's worth, which is probably nothing. A handful of years ago, I had a Stride footpod, trying to record it and trying to get all of the stats, which is impossible in the Stride ecosystem. I did not drink the whole Kool-Aid. I did not jump off the cliff and assume that power would save me on the way down. So I still, for one reason or another that I'll explain elsewhere, believe in heart rate. And you just couldn't do that with the Stride app. So I thought, well, a watch would be great. So I had a Garmin Vivo Active 3, which would not run the Stride app, but it would run a Stride plugin. So it didn't collect the full metrics of the Stride footpod, but an Apple Watch would. So I thought, okay, that's fine. I'll check into it. So I looked at Apple Watches. Of course, starting at the time, I think they started at like $700 and worked their way down. But I found one for $150 on Woot that would still run the Stride software. And I thought, well, okay, great. Let's look into this. So I read the instructions for how to set up the Stride footpod and the Apple Watch together, and I ran into some weird glitches. And I was like, okay, well, how do I set up the Apple Watch? And it turns out that you had to connect it to your Apple account, and you had to use an iPhone that was at least a certain OS. And I was like, what the heck? So I looked for that and found one on Woot for about $500. And I thought, okay, well, this is kind of lame here because I could buy a $300 Garmin and get all of this, and it would work with every phone. I don't have to buy a whole new phone and buy into a whole new ecosystem and change everything over. This was particularly frustrating to me because I do have an iPad that should be able to connect to the Apple Watch, but it won't. I had to have an iPhone to set it up. So I thought, well, okay, well, that ain't gonna happen. That's my opinion for what it's worth.